It's September 18th, 2017, and this is the K-12 Engineering Education Podcast. Internet memes, viral videos, social media. Kids today are consuming digital pop culture like this all the time. How can we use it to engage kids in engineering? My guest today has some ideas. I'm Pios Wong, and today I speak with Nehemiah Mabry, engineer and founder of STEMedia. STEMedia is his company focused on creating digital content to promote science, technology, engineering, and math. Well, I just wanted to say welcome to the K-12 Engineering Education Podcast officially.
Thank you.
People are listening. They may have heard me say your name as Nehemiah Mabry, but I should be probably calling you Dr. Mabry. Is that correct?
Oh, man, look, I don't make any fuss about that. There's only certain environments that...
Hey, it's a big deal.
I pull it out when it can be helpful to me. Other than that, I don't need to, use the title that often. But sure, man, whatever fits you. Nehemiah, that's what my friends call me. So
okay. Cool.
There's no requirement.
Can you tell anyone listening what your background is? Where did you get your Ph.D. in, and what do you do?
Yes, man. So I formerly trained as a civil structural engineer, to be exact. Started school studying applied math and engineering, a dual degree program in Alabama. Got a master's down there at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. Then I moved up to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I am now, and I attended North Carolina State University. And I got my Ph.D. in structural engineering and mechanics. So that was my academic journey. I didn't take any breaks, kind of kept going straight through. But now that I'm done, I'm working in the field of bridge design, designing, inspecting, and analyzing bridges up here in the Raleigh-Durham area.
That sounds like heavy engineering. Is there a lot of math and analysis and coding involved in that?
Not so much coding. It could be heavy math, but not on a regular basis. We have design codes, as many listeners may know, that kind of guide our design practices. Inspecting is just that, inspecting. We find out what's wrong. Where it gets pretty heavy, though, is when we're analyzing and we're actually trying to determine, how strong or rate the strength of a bridge. That's where it gets a little tough, but, that's not every day,
Right. Yeah, there are a lot of teachers listening, and a lot of them might just have a little bit of an impression of what engineers do day to day. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool that you explain that. Something that they might not know is that you also are involved in the education world, not just engineering, right?
Absolutely.
You've got a company called STEMedia.org.
Yeah. So STEMedia is actually, to be honest with you, it started as a personal extracurricular activity during my PhD program. As a grad student, I really wanted the outlet to creatively share my passion for engineering and science. And I wanted to do it in a way that would inspire other people. So I did it initially, this kind of extracurricular activity. And then from there, it has sort of evolved into a digital media company, which provides creative and inspirational content for the STEM community. So videos, live workshops, and other types of content is what STEMedia is all about. And I love it.
What's the mission?
Yeah, so the mission of STEMedia, I say that we want to become the ESPN of STEM. Kind of how ESPN kind of prides themselves as the worldwide leader in sport, or the go-to source for sports. And that's kind of what we want to do when it comes to particularly creative and inspirational content. Where there's a lot of players, yourself and so many others that are doing tremendous things in STEM. But we kind of want to be able to show a picture of STEM that is essentially creative genius meeting technical intelligence. So one that is just inspirational, one that is empowering, one that isn't creative, one that basically makes it as prestigious as many other popular careers in our society, such as entertainment and sports, things of that nature. So that's really the overall goal of STEMedia, to really change the perception for people, like myself and those who have an outlook.
Yeah, because I think you might agree sometimes engineers get a bad rap, I guess. They're stereotyped as a certain type of person.
Yeah.
So what do you exactly do to combat those perceptions of engineers and engineering?
So it's funny because really, I'm really finding ways to take what was in my head out and kind of share it to other people. That's kind of really what the goal was because, going through engineering school myself, I didn't really see too many people that looked like me, whether it be, the fact that I'm an African American male, or there also be someone that was very interested in a number of things, such as, I was a musician. I played the bass guitar. I was in the improv group, director of an improv drama troupe. I sang in a couple of singing groups and choirs. I did a lot of public speaking, and not to say that these people didn't exist. It just wasn't represented. Right. So as I am going about my, studies, sometimes I would just find these connections between my creative passions and the things that I was studying. And so, whether it be a poem, whether it be a rap, or whether it be, a skit or something that's in my head. And so to do that now, STEMedia just seeks to create content, that just expresses it in humorous ways, whether it be connected with pop culture, tying your favorite child character cartoon, to a particular concept in engineering, or something that just recently took a lot of or got a lot of attention was a poem, STEM poetry is how I like to call it, where I explain my research in the form of spoken word poetry for the contest that took place.
Well, that's really cool. I haven't heard of that. Where is that going on? Is that just a movement or a program?
Yeah, so Technometric STEM Poetry is what we call the program that STEMedia developed. And actually, it's something that has taken place for 3 years running now here at North Carolina State University, where we get a lot of engineering students and basically just have a spoken word / poetry slam. And the only criteria is that you have to incorporate technical concepts into your lyrics. So, it's been growing. Students has been coming out. It's essentially kind of doubled or every year. And, that was just something that came from my idea from a video that I did before. And so I took that concept, kind of sharing two different things. That's the event side of it. But in reference to the video that I was just mentioning, it was a contest by the National Academy of Engineering held last year. And, I entered it and I said, why don't I just use something that I've been doing and enjoying that has been resonating here locally to enter that contest. And so, fortunately it was successful and won, the national grand prize in that.
Yeah. Congratulations. Obviously you've had some success in popularizing engineering and promoting it and everything. What kind of digital media really resonates with people?
Yeah. Well, obviously there's just the ubiquitousness of social media today.
Yeah.
Attention is there, particularly for, the millennial generation, Generation Z. I mean, that's where attention is. And so, while I wouldn't say that traditional media, magazines, TV and all that, radio is dead, I would say that, it's a necessity to have content on social media platforms. So that as a channel or as a distribution channel just automatically is something you have to incorporate, I believe. But other than that, man, it's really a philosophical shift that I have in my head. And that is, I'm not trying to make engineering cool. I'm simply revealing the coolness in engineering that I've already seen. Right. I think when you say, let's make it cool, you're almost implying that it isn't cool and we're trying to transform it into something that is not. But if you see it as cool already, you're just like, hey, I'm just going to literally reveal what I already see so you can see what I see. Then it's kind of a different process. It's just simply pulling back the veil. And so, the fact that I can watch a sitcom or watch a cartoon and just see engineering or identify with a character in a movie that reminds me of, myself when I was trying to figure something out allows me to then sort of reverse engineer what's already interesting to those in pop culture, right? If people are loving a certain meme, if a meme is going viral, if a TV show is hot, you can just look at that and say, hey, these are the things, once they pop up on someone's feed, these are the things that are going to grab their attention. Why? Because these are hot topics. So let me find an element in that alludes to engineering or that suggests some sort of idea. And so that's really been the route that I've been taking, sort of kind of working backwards from what is already holding the attention of those you're trying to reach.
I see. So you're kind of riding those trends of what's popular on social media, and especially with young people, it sounds like, from what I understand, you're definitely trying to aim for younger people.
Yeah, well, the thing is the pipeline is always essential. So you want to make sure that, the younger demographic is constantly being considered in everything you're doing. The majority of my talks and stuff take place K through 12 arena. But I've also been doing a lot with higher ed. I look at my life and I say, okay, when was the pinnacle of cool? I am probably on the other side of cool, naturally speaking, when it comes to the fact that, I'm a father, I'm married, have a kid. It's cool. Now, don't get me wrong. But I mean, where do you, when you're younger, you're looking up like, oh, the high schoolers, and the high schoolers are maybe looking up to the college students. So I kind of see college age students as people who can kind of set the benchmark for what is happening, what is really taking place. And so if you can kind of create an excitement in that group, I think you're going to have your high schoolers look up to them, and then you're going to have your middle schoolers look up to your high schoolers, and then you're going to have your elementary students look up to your middle schoolers. And so yeah, the whole K through 12 gambit, I would say, but I have also been able to really do some things with higher ed that I feel has been effective.
What have been some of your biggest successes with higher ed? Like that STEM poetry thing, for one, I guess.
Definitely, yeah, that has been kind of the flagship thing, man. Like I said, it's been growing every year, looking to take it to other campuses, and even getting a little bit of sponsorship interest as well. So that has definitely been one of the things that has been successful on a higher ed level. But also, I do a lot of workshops, man. I go into, and it can kind of be adjusted for your age group, but I go into schools and talk about STEM plus creativity, showing how there are inventions and there has been innovation that has taken place throughout the course of history that has been nothing short than works of art, and being able to engage students through exercises that allow them to think outside the box to achieve certain technical means. And that has been one of the things that has been really resonating. Also just, I think being able to present yourself as one of them. And what I mean by that is just simply sharing your story, right? You're not going in trying to say facts and figures. Mm-hmm. This is why STEM is important. This is how much more money you're going to make. Yes, those things are important. I think they are persuasive, mm-hmm. But really outside of that, man, just resonating on a personal level has been kind of more of a secret sauce, I think. Whenever I have embedded it in whatever project, I've seen, like I said, a certain response that has been more effective than trying to come as the, elder statesman that's just trying to tell you what to do. Right.
No, so then Nehemiah, can you tell a little bit of your story? Like, why were you interested in engineering in the first place? Structural engineering or any of that?
Yeah, that's absolutely. Man, when I was growing up, I was a kid. I had a little bit of tinkerism in me, as people say. But more than that, man, I used to collect tons of like trinkets and broken hangers and old packaging from toys and just random things around the house and around the neighborhood that I would just see lying around. And so much so that my mom was like, "Why are you bringing this stuff in my house? This is dirty. What are you doing?" And I had it all collected in what I called my junk drawer. And I was convinced as a kid, pretty much, my entire elementary school years, that I was going to use these things to create something. Like I was going to make the next big thing with all these random parts. And so I tried tons of things, man. I tried to create my own video game. I tried to create, motorized vehicles. I tried to do all kinds of things, man. And those were kind of my early experiences with being an engineer, being an inventor, being someone that, had an affinity for this area. So I did that, man. And I didn't even know that engineering was a possible career until later on in my youth, probably around 11th grade in high school. Mm-hmm. My dad, who was always quick to give me ideas of things I should try out, mentioned it to me. And so I said, engineering, and he's like, yeah, this combines math and then it has design involved, which was also something I was really interested in as it related to my drawing and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so I went into, my 11th grade year saying, okay, I'm going to try this engineering thing. And it just so happened that there was a particular NASA internship opportunity in my city that was only for 11th graders.
Oh, well, and that was in Alabama?
That was in Huntsville, Alabama, where I was living at the time. Yeah, Marshall Space Flight Center was the location, and I applied for it, man, and I got it. And I just remember that summer being exposed to all different types of engineering, and that's when I was hooked. I knew I was like, hey, this is the career path for me. This is where I need to be, and I just rode the wave ever since.
Wow. So that's really awesome. I'm sure you worked real hard, but in a way it sounds, from an outside perspective, you were kind of lucky because you found out about it almost when you were going to graduate from high school. Some kids might find out real late, and maybe they might not have some of those opportunities. Do you think that if you knew about the field earlier, you would have, I don't know, done the same thing if you got exposed to some of the media that you're making now?
Yes, I think so. I think I, for one, would have known what engineering was a little bit earlier, and so the fact that I latched on to that opportunity, and I really latched on, because I'm telling you, like, after I did that summer, the next summer there was no program, but I just called everybody that I remember from the summer before and say, can I come back and volunteer?
Oh, wow.
So I literally volunteered another summer because I really enjoyed it. And so what I think would have happened if I would have gotten exposed earlier, as a lot of people have an opportunity to do through my programs or other things, is, just really immerse myself sooner, really get exposed and then get involved and get engaged to where by the time I got to college, I probably would have knew how to make a video game or a motorized vehicle. I wouldn't have had to guess. Yeah. Because I, like I said, was exposed to how it's done sooner.
Right. You wouldn't be making it out of the coat hangers and the other things you've been finding.
Yeah, exactly. I probably would have had my Arduino going by then.
Right. Yeah. So I wanted to ask, going back to the teacher's perspective, I could already picture some people's opinions or some people's questions. One might be, should the classroom or should schools be the right setting to bring in social media? Like, basically, some teachers complain that social media is too ubiquitous, like you were saying, that kids should not be looking at their phone all the time. What do you say to people like that, who are maybe skeptical of using social media or digital media to try to promote STEM?
Well, what I think is a fair concern is the safety of young children, right? You don't want to, with good intention, try to say, here, have at it, go on Instagram, go on Facebook, go on YouTube or whatever, and then have them stray into sort of the random corners of the internet that will do more harm than good. So I do think that caution and wisdom and discretion should be considered, particularly in, elementary schools and middle schools. But on the other hand, I think, if you were to say that, it's too ubiquitous, too many places that stay away from it, I think that sort of you would be doing a disservice or ignoring the fact that it's not going anywhere. That's very similar to, I would say, arguing against PBS and all the other educational channels that took place on TV. We knew TV existed, and there were poor programming, there was poor content that kids should stay away from, but that doesn't mean that we should avoid it in putting the content that kids need to consume, right? So the fact of the matter is, here you have, I don't know, millions of views taking place of the very kids that you're teaching. And the question is, do we want to make something positive for them to be able to be exposed to, or do we want to stay out of the game and literally say that all those 100% of those millions of views are just going to go to,
videos or something.
Purposeless content.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, here it is. They're going to be watching something. So we want to make sure that we get in the game so that in the same way that PBS gave parents a channel for to place their children in front of, we can put content on these other channels so that people who are trying to at least curb the attention of their young people have places that they can direct them to.
I really like that analogy. I hadn't really thought about it in terms of like PBS and TV, but that makes a lot of sense. Speaking of that, are there any other people who do something similar who you admire, like PBS, or are there any digital media companies that do stuff like this?
Man, I was fortunate, or I am fortunate currently to have a good friend and mentor where I am now, Marshall Brain, who is the founder of How Stuff Works. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people probably have heard of that brand. He started it. He's actually a professor here at North Carolina State University. You know, I know him, and he tells me about his early days of just finding out how stuff works and writing articles about it. And he is no longer, you know, running the company because it was bought by Discovery, which is another very, I would say, ubiquitous educational platform. Yeah. So How Stuff Works is something I had an opportunity to talk to someone firsthand about how it kind of built. And then that just kind of also dovetails into the fact that Discovery is, I would say, a leading brand in this space. So those are two companies that I admire quite well. And then, of course, there are tons of social media companies just in general for, you know, whatever niche you're looking for, tech, you know, beauty, right. Whatever. So I look at what they do as well and say, hey, they're providing education in these spaces. And so what I do is really very similar, but just in the space of STEM and engineering.
Yeah. So going back to STEMedia then, if people want to create some kind of video or podcast or some kind of digital resource related to engineering or some other educational field, do they go to you and ask you to make it, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, thanks for asking, man. So STEMedia is a business, and so the majority of the things that we do are on behalf of other organizations, businesses, schools, people trying to engage students in science and engineering. So what you would do is really just reach out to me, Nehemiah at STEMedia.org, or go to the website and, you know, fill out one of our contact us boxes and pretty much just say, hey, this is what I would like to do. And the reason why I think this service has been good for us is because I think a lot of people have the ideas. A lot of people are focusing on what they do best, and that is educating, or that is teaching, or that is recruiting, right? And there are a lot of different facets of that. However, we are able to say, hey, you want to create an animated video that explains, you know, optics, or you want to create a skit that deals with, you know, the struggles of being an engineering student. We can collab, right? And we are able to then go and then partner with some graphic designers, some animators, some videographers, and actually we can produce it according to the idea that you have. And so there you don't have to worry about the production aspect of it, you know, and then the benefit of myself being a engineer, and being trained as an engineer, then there isn't a whole lot of, let me explain this to you. You know, it's kind of, I already have a, you know, background. And so I'm able to kind of pick up on, okay, this is the technical integrity of what you're trying to do. Now we can talk together about the creative integrity, or the creative ideas that we would like to communicate to our team.
That's fantastic. And it sounds like, you have a bunch of people helping you out anyway. And
yeah, I've been developing a team, kind of a nice go-to set of talented, creative people that have gotten, I guess, to some extent used to my explanations and my vision as it relates to translating technical concepts into creative presentations. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
No, that's excellent. You know, we're almost out of time, but I do want to talk to you at some point, maybe not now, about the whole starting a business kind of thing. I've had other people who've started educational businesses talk to me on the podcast before, and it's always real interesting. I frankly don't know how you have time to run a business and be, you know, a Ph.D. engineer and all that stuff. And that sounds really amazing, frankly. So congratulations, Nehemiah, and for all these different things that you're doing.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. How can people reach you one more time?
Yeah, sure. So personally, you can reach me at Nehemiah at STEMedia.org. That's my first name, Nehemiah. You can visit STEMedia.org or find us on some of the social media channels at _STEMedia.
_STEMedia. So you're on pretty much everything, I assume. I saw you on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Oh, one final question.
Pretty much.
You know, one final question for all the teachers, especially teachers who may not know as much about social media. If they had to get one social media account to, like, I don't know, interact with the world of engineering online, what would you recommend?
You know, it really depends. And of course I was going to say that, you know, because Each platform kind of has a strong age group or demographic.
That's right.
But if I had to say, which one, I probably would just say, if YouTube counts, I would say get a YouTube account. If you all consider that social media, which it is in many ways. Putting content on YouTube allows you to kind of spread it and embed it several places. So that's probably what I would go with.
All right. No, that's good advice. I've heard several teachers really praise YouTube as well, because they can, incorporate that in their lessons. So that's really good to hear that from another engineer and STEM media expert.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Nehemiah Mabry, or Dr. Nehemiah Mabry, thank you so much for talking to me on the podcast. And I hope that we can keep on getting updates from you.
Hey, Pios, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, man. And all the best to all of your listeners out there.
For notes, links, and transcripts related to this episode, just visit the show website, k12engineering.net. There you'll find links to different ways to contact Nehemiah, for example. Leave a rating and a review of this episode on iTunes or Stitcher, and follow the show on Facebook or other social media. Finally, you can financially support this show by donating on Patreon at patreon.com/Pios Labs. That's patreon.com/Pios Labs. Our closing music is called Wishing by Soiree, and you can find more music by Soiree on SoundCloud. His username is Soiree Beats, or just check out the show notes for this episode to find the link. The K-12 Engineering Education Podcast is a production of my independent studio, Pios Labs. Everybody, thanks for listening.